Welcome to Hot Flashbacks. I'm your host, Molly Ward. And my guest today is actually my neighbor.
Breakfast, keg stands at the frat house.
And that one time we introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Jess. I'm the neighbor.
Hangovers were the worst of our worries.
Just the
We'll
neighbor.
be digging through our college
on
days when our knees didn't hurt and we could bend down and tie our own shoes without
The neighbor,
any help.
the friend.
Then
Yeah.
we'll crash land back
So
in
Jess lives
reality,
next
where
door to
your
us,
social calendar
and
features more
I would
doctor's
say over the
appointments than happy
past
hours.
3 years.
This will be a
maybe
hilarious,
4,
unflinching look at the
because
journey
COVID,
from dorm room
gosh, time
debauchery
flies.
to derm filler diplomacy.
It's been a while, but
We'll be chatting
we've
with friends
become
whose
really good
stories
friends
are
with
as
Jess and her
legendary as
husband
they
Ben,
are
who live next door
relatable.
and have 2
We'll
beautiful
laugh,
children.
we'll cry,
Tell us
maybe
about,
even apply some
tell us about
face
your
cream
family.
together. Getting older might
like
come
you
with
said,
many
we've got 2
inconveniences,
little ones. We
but it
have
also
a
comes with the
3.5-year-old
wit,
going on
and
about
freedom
15.
to tell it like it is.
His name's Foster.
is
And
Hot
then,
Everybody says
Flashbacks.
that about their children.
I know, but he
I
really is
once
just
went to a
ham
spin
and cheese
class,
sandwich.
and I thought I was going
and then
to
we have
die.
a little girl
Like
who's about
the lady
she's gonna
kept
be
saying,
10
"Okay, now
months,
stand
Violet."
up and bike
And
up the mountain." And I was like,
wild.
"Yes, thank
It was
goodness."
wild.
And then
It
it got to the
flew.
point
I
where
don't
she was
even
like,
live there.
"Okay,
I just see them.
you
know,
over
every day
there,
and
we're
think
supposed to
how
be
wild it
sitting." And I
is.
was like, "Listen, lady,
I was telling Molly
I'm not
actually to
sitting.
sneak out of my house.
This
today
hurts
because
my area. I
Foster's
don't even know what it's
obsessed with
called.
Molly.
The whole thing
Molly and
hurts."
Alex, but especially Molly. And so if he were to have seen me walking over here, he would have been the second guest today.
I actually thought about that. I was like, I hope she doesn't tell Foster she's coming over here because he loves to come visit our house.
Oh, yes.
He's the best house guest though, because he comes in and goes, "Oh, your house is so pretty."
I'm so glad. That's so polite.
I know. I hope he always stays that
Me
polite.
too.
Nobody
I
else
do
comes over and tells me how pretty my house is.
I know. I hope he is a polite gentleman like that for the rest of his days.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
I wanted to chat today because you and I have talked a lot in the past couple of years just about aging and our bodies, but you've been through some experiences that I haven't, and notably, that is childbirth.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a kicker.
it's that's one way to put
Yep.
it. As a person who hasn't had children, I would say it's a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how PG we're allowed, but yeah, it's a bitch.
When you upload podcasts, they make you mark like safe for children or explicit. So there's not a lot of needle there. So
Gotcha.
we're explicit,
We're
sister.
explicit. You know what? A fair warning for my nephews and nieces, and not just teasing.
So I thought, I think about my body aging and how different it might be for someone who's had children, and the way that you experience the aging of your body is probably very different. Although there are probably some similarities, like you probably wake up and have a new mole that you never saw before.
Right.
And you're like, where?
Oh,
What?
yes.
Why do I have this? Or my favorite is the weird long hair you find just sort of anywhere on your body that you're
Yes.
like, why am I sprouting hairs here?
Oh, and what's even weirder is when you're like postpartum and like have a baby, and I breastfeed. So you find them on your nipples.
Ew.
You're like,
We are now officially explicit.
sorry, but like you get like long dark hairs out like from, and you see them all the time, and they're embarrassing because, like it's just weird. It's why,
That's wild. Why
Oh,
do you
yeah.
think we have hair on our nipples anyway?
I don't even know. Is
Like,
it like,
I mean, because evolution,
Right.
in terms of evolution, like most things
apes?
serve a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And so hair on your nipples.
but it's not like a lot. It's just like
Just
one or
like,
two.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm like, do you pluck it? Do you shave it? Do you leave it? I don't know. What's the rule on that?
I don't know. Maybe you could contact like Guinness Book of World Records, which by the way, I used to read all the time.
Oh, yeah.
When I don't know, I would go to Scholastic Book Fair. And
The
I always
best.
wanted the Guinness Book of World Records so that I could see the really long fingernails and the man with the longest hair and the lady with the biggest toenail. You know what I mean? Like,
you would, Molly.
I know. Just a variety of weird items.
Yeah.
But maybe longest nipple hair is not an entry.
Maybe it should be. I mean, I would not win, but I think maybe if I started now.
Yeah. I mean, there's still time.
Yeah, that's true.
There's still time to achieve
World's
greatness.
greatest
Jess.
achievements.
That would be awesome. I want to talk a little bit about pregnancy, but not a whole ton. I just kind of want to know some of the things you experienced during pregnancy that might have been unexpected for you in terms of your body, the way it felt, or the changes that you felt in your body.
Yeah. I think probably like my first pregnancy, everything kind of went according to expectation. I didn't really have any weird cravings or weird like symptoms. Like it just kind of was like business as usual, which I know sounds weird because it's pregnancy. But when I got pregnant with Violet, everything went out the freaking window. Like, I think the biggest thing for me with my daughter, being pregnant with my daughter, was my hormones were awful, like nutso. And
I'd like to interrupt and say I can attest to this.
yes, she can. I mean, I was like, I was not myself. I still don't really feel like myself totally, but it was really bad with her because I don't know if it's like, I'm not a scientist, but like girl versus boy hormone pregnancies, but I've heard all kinds. Anyway, I did not expect to feel like not me through pregnancy. Like postpartum is a thing. And like, we can talk about that later, whatever. But that I think was my biggest, unexpectation.
That's absolutely not a word.
Well, it is today.
Your biggest unexpectation.
Yes.
So the hormones, and they were raging. Did you feel like a teenager or like, was it different than that?
It was worse. I felt like it was like the worst PMS every day.
So just like cranky AF all the time.
Cranky AF. And like with Foster, I had this like blissful, like second trimester where I felt great and I wanted to work out. And, you know, I pretty much ate healthy like the whole time.
I don't think that I've ever been in my second trimester, evidently.
Okay, well, that's what they say. They say that.
Working out, eating healthy, none of those things are on my list. So,
well, you know, when you have a human inside of your body, you're like, I probably should be my best self for them, but did not happen with Violet.
Really?
I mean, I tried, but it was just, I mean, and even Ben can attest, like, he was like, you were not fun to be around.
You were not a delight.
You were not.
Oh, man.
I mean, I wasn't like mean, but I just was totally.
Did you feel aware of that at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like, I told Ben, I'm like, it's like having an out of body experience. Like I hear myself saying shit to you and I'm like, wow, I'm a bitch, but I can't help it. I'm sorry.
You know, something happens. So you and I have a little bit of an age gap. Actually, I don't even know if you're old enough to be on my show.
I hope so.
Check your ID at the door.
I know, right?
So I'm 42. How old are you?
I just turned, 32. 32.
Okay. So we have a 10-year age gap.
Yeah.
Which I think when we were younger might have felt really significant, but
doesn't feel that way.
It feels that way now, even though we have teenagers and you have toddlers. Experiencing aging as a 40-year-old, there have been so many things that I didn't expect and things that people haven't told me about. And I remember my sister calling me the first time that she had the first time she had a baby, her first child, my lovely niece. And she said that the one thing no one ever told her was the catheter, that she was going to have a catheter. And she was like, I was shocked. I read all the books. I thought I was prepared. I was not ready for the catheter situation.
Oh,
did you have a catheter?
I did. Well, so they typically don't only do a catheter if you get an epidural.
Yeah. Okay. So she did that. And I don't think that was in the plan, but
oh no.
I mean, for a lot of folks, it's not necessarily the plan, but
let me tell you, women go in thinking they can be a hero. And I was one of those women twice. Yeah. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I was a hero.
You're still a hero.
I took the drugs.
Yeah.
I had a nurse tell me everybody gets the same trophy. So I took the drugs, got a catheter.
Yeah.
And
tell me about that. This is not a podcast about catheters, but now I'm interested.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't really feel it because you're numb. Well, you should be. I was only numb halfway both times. It only worked on half my body, which was really awesome. Not at all.
That's bizarre.
It's so bizarre. I think it's just like something with my body. But so the way I describe it, because I felt it go in, but it didn't hurt. Well, it wasn't comfortable.
That's what she said.
Like, you know, when you're like pushing on like your cuticles, like just like subconsciously and it kind of burns, but it's like the pressure and you keep doing it. That's kind of what getting a catheter feels like if you're sort of numb for me.
That's how I feel about the dentist.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like it's uncomfortable, but it's tolerable.
Yeah.
I don't really love it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in the grand scheme of the whole process, like the catheter was the least that I remember.
But you knew.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think part of it is just like what you expect to happen. And she's like, I thought I was prepared. I thought I knew how this was going to go down. And then catheter situation.
Because you don't want to like pee on your baby, right? Which would happen. I mean, you poop.
Oh, I mean, okay. So, I mean, I think, so you poop on the bait. Listen, I haven't had children.
I was going to say,
I'm not prepared for this conversation.
I was going to say, how far do you want to go?
Seriously.
My point, I guess, just like, bless your sister, but I think that was kind of one of the least of my, but I mean, I'm in healthcare. I've been in healthcare. So like, I kind of expected that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I've placed them before.
Oh, okay.
So like,
you're like a professional.
Oh no. I mean, but like, I think catheters are way more traumatic for men.
Okay.
Than they are for women.
Yeah.
There's just,
I'm not into it either way. So yeah.
Nope.
So tell me, when you think about, and I don't want to like trigger you. Okay. But so trigger warning, but when you think about your body and your relationship with your body 5 years ago, so before you had kids, and how sort of how you felt about yourself and how you felt about your body and how you manage that versus now, what would you tell me?
Oh man, it's loaded. You know, Ben and I talk about this a lot because it's definitely, I think I'm nicer to myself. I give myself more credit now than I did then because I carried human beings and I fed them with my body. And I, not only physically, but like mentally, it's like such a taxing thing. 5 years ago, yeah, I was in great shape. But I hated my body then. And so I think for me, I know I'm always I think women dislike their bodies no matter what. I don't know a woman that's like, I love my body.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate, but I feel you. I've never had a friend who didn't at some point, if not all the time, feel concern for her body image in some way. Even the ones that I thought like, are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that now it's almost like I pay respect to this body because will I ever have like, a 6-pack abs? No, will I have stretch marks forever? Yes. But excuse me. I think that is, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my body, I guess.
And you wouldn't have said that before necessarily.
No, I just was mean.
So that's okay. That's interesting because that's a reflection of like feeling like your body served a purpose and recognizing the stress and the pain and the labor, pardon the pun, that it went through in order to be where it's at now.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
And I still don't like my body. So maybe if I birthed a few things, I'd be more satisfied with myself.
But do you feel like the older you've gotten, like you recognize your body for what it does versus what it looks like?
Yeah, I do. I think that one thing that has been a constant in my life, and I don't know that this is most women, but I suspect that it is that my perception of my body is a constant thought. It may not be all day, but it's every day.
Yep.
It's recognizing where my body's at against others. It's judging my body against other people's bodies. Like, Jess had kids.
Yeah.
So like I should look a different way because I didn't. And I don't have that crutch or that excuse or that ability to accept myself for the way that I am. I will say that one of the best things about being really hitting my 40s has been caring less about other people. And so my concerns about my body have been more about what I think or what I think I'm capable of or could be doing for myself versus what everybody else thinks about me. And I think that is a welcome change of pace. I know in my 20s, all of my concern for my body and my image were about how I was being perceived.
Yeah.
And the male gaze in particular, which is something I've been able to rid myself of in my late 30s and early 40s, which feels very liberating.
Definitely.
Honestly.
For sure. Ben said something to me years and years ago before we had children. And it was, I think even before many of our friends were having kids. And we were talking about boob jobs. And I said, I feel like I would want to get a boob job. Like if my boobs looked weird and saggy after breastfeeding. And he's like, well, I would just say like, those were the breasts that fed our babies and like the breasts that like I love. And it stuck with me because it's the male outlook of my body, but it's somebody I love. And when I think about like the people that I love, like I would never look at Molly and be like, well, but you didn't have kids. So like, what's your excuse? Like I never would.
Excuse me, my boobs are awesome.
I was actually going to say that coming forward, Molly has the best rack I've ever seen. That's because you didn't have kids. Sorry, but it is.
That's fine. I mean, genetics only does, so much for you. And then you have children, and some people maintain great bodies. And then other people, I've talked to a few folks who are like, I did not expect that it was going to be this drastic, especially after you've been breastfeeding. The way that your boobs just sit different, right?
Yeah.
They're not where you're used to them being. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when I talked to a friend of mine whose mom had breast cancer, and we were chatting about the mastectomy idea, and women are attached to their breasts, not just in a male gaze way, right?
Oh.
And so, Ben can tell you all he wants to, that
Right.
he likes them for how they are, but
They're mine.
right. And so I think there is a sense of like, we need to be happy with what we have and feel good about what we have.
Yeah.
And obviously some things you have more control over than others. And so after having children, you have, considerably less control over the way that your breasts are shaped or hang or don't hang for that matter.
Right.
And I do think that as you get older, it's not so much about other people. It becomes more about how you feel in your own skin.
Yeah.
And whether or not you like what you have or don't have. And that's why mastectomies can be traumatic, is because, there are days I fantasize about not carrying these things around, right? Like, boy, if there's a day that I come home and don't take my bra off, I don't know that it exists. It's like, never, if it's appropriate, I would take that shit off in the car, like before I get here.
Well, why? Who says you can't?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
it's 2024.
You're right.
You could do whatever the hell you want.
I just bear it all.
Right.
There are days I think I'd love to be without these. But when I really think about that, parts of your body, I don't think about like your arms, they become a part of your identity.
Oh, yeah.
So amputating any part of it or facing extreme change in any part of it can be traumatic.
Oh, yeah.
And difficult to cope with emotionally. A lot of women experience that after they have children, that things are different. They look different. They feel different. You feel different about your relationship with yourself.
Yes. And it's not, I would say, not always positive. Most often not, unfortunately. Society, especially like postpartum women, the bounce back, and women should have like a 6-pack, even just like societal pressure obviously is a whole different subject. But I think the expectation of women to look a certain way after having a kid is like, should not be any like, everybody looks so different for a reason.
No, you're right. When I think about pregnancy, I think one of the things I'm most excited about is that I didn't do it, the pregnancy thing. One of the things I always think about is pregnant women often joke about not being able to hold their pee.
Right? Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
And I have friends who are like terrified of having like a prolapse. Do you know what a prolapse is?
I do.
Okay.
Let's just say that an anonymous friend of mine called me one day and was like, so I think something is coming out of me. And I was like, excuse me, please do not send me a picture.
Oh
this is a job for your husband.
Gosh.
This is not my responsibility.
That's horrifying. I have friends that are like so afraid of these prolapses. I've seen them. They're awful. And so they're like obsessed with pelvic floor and blah, blah, blah. And then I have friends who are just like normal postpartum women who have a bunch of kids and not on their radar. And those women, we sneeze and we pee and we run and we pee and like jumping on the trampoline. What the hell? It is not fun anymore at all, especially when you've had kids.
I mean, how often are you doing these Kegels people talk about?
So
like be real.
Not often enough.
I mean, do you think about it like, oh, I should be doing these Kegel exercises? And then are you actually like engaging in that on a regular basis?
I mean, I would say I do them once a day at my desk. Yes. But that's because
you should start a YouTube channel.
I should, right?
Where you just like sit at your desk and people guess if you're doing your Kegels or not. I've never really done it. I'm not going to lie.
Well, and that's the thing about like the difference here is it's more than Kegels when you've had babies. It's a pelvic floor flex, because you don't just have to think about like your vaginal wall. You have to think about like your lower abdomen. You have to think about your rectum. And it's like this diamond that you're literally having to flex and release at your desk.
I'm not. Yeah. Nope.
It's
Nope.
Not fun.
That is one of the benefits of never having children, is that I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But I will say, I don't think that's going to last forever. Like that will maybe not progress as quickly for someone who doesn't have children, but
I
I can
agree.
tell you, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom more often than I used to 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever peed your pants?
Is this a safe space?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like more than like once?
No, just one time.
Okay. See, like I pee my pants probably every other month.
This is good. This is so validating.
Coughing,
Yeah. Sneezing.
laughing really hard.
Yeah.
It's not like when you used to be able to like, you pee a little dribble and then you like hold it. It just like, once it's out, it's coming.
Just like suck it back up.
Yep. Nope. No second.
There's
The
no
floodgates open and it's coming out.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one thing that we used to have a trampoline in our backyard.
Mhm.
And my wife would often say that she wasn't going to participate in jumping on the trampoline because it just wasn't. It was too much work. It was too
Not fun.
hard. It's
No.
not fun.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like need to write a list of things that used to be fun before kids
Oh.
that don't have to do with my children.
Yeah.
Like for my own physical well-being.
Right.
And I think swinging on the swings is one of them. I don't know if other women experience this. This is probably also connected to my pelvic floor, but like it feels like you've been on a bike ride for a long time at the end of a day. You're just like sore. Like your pelvic floor is just like, it's like a muscle that's just been ripped to hell.
Every day?
I would say like at the end of like a long week, I'd say once or twice a evening, I feel like I've been on a long bike ride.
That is horrifying
And I
to
don't-
me because I once went to a spin class and I thought I was going to die. Like the lady kept saying, okay, now stand up and
Mhm.
bike up the mountain. And I was like, yes, thank goodness. And then it got to the point where she was like, okay, you over there, we're supposed to be sitting. And I was like, listen, lady, I'm not sitting.
Mm-mm.
This hurts my area. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
The whole thing hurts.
Yeah, that's like basically what childbirth is. Kind of.
Woof.
Yeah. It's a bad time.
Yeah, it
So.
sounds like it. Well, I just want to let you know that being 40 is not glamorous either. I haven't had children, but I can tell you that one thing I have experienced is that everything feels harder. Like getting out of bed in the morning, things that creak and crack that I never expected. And it makes me wonder where I'd be if I had children and was 40. Like I'm pretty sure those people are dying.
I mean, I feel
'Cause-
like I'm 32 and I think going on 40.
Is that
Like,
how it feels?
Like I think that like childbirth, like just like fast forwards your aging.
Yeah.
Like-
No, I would guess it does,
Yeah.
right? Because
Oh yeah.
if you think about it, anything that you do that puts a serious strain on your body
Oh.
is going to accelerate the process of decay, which is essentially what happens
That's
after you
such a
turn
horrific
29.
word.
I know.
Decay.
I know.
I had a friend tell me once that after 26, everything went downhill. And
It's so true
It's so
because
true.
they say that your brain stops developing somewhere between the ages of 24 and 27. And so you're not at your full brain development and potential until those ages. And I'm pretty sure that right after that happens, everything else starts to fall apart.
yes,
It's like you go from somehow, I'm thinking of like Benjamin Button, but you go, right. I mean, you go from essentially finishing developing to starting to decay.
yeah.
That's the way my life felt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they talk about like your prime, right? Like women are supposedly hit their prime like in their late 40s, early 50s.
Prime
This-
what?
Like prime, like sexual. So like libido wise, this is like a thing I've heard.
So does that mean that I still have something to look forward to?
I think you do.
Holy cow.
Like, I think that like libido and like sex drive is supposed to like uptick.
Wow.
Now
Okay.
I don't know,
All right.
like, because there's the whole like perimenopause, menopause thing, which I'm not in that, but I feel like
Me neither, I don't think.
No,
But every time something happens to my body, I go, maybe I'm in menopause.
maybe pre-peri.
Pre-peri, yeah.
Yeah.
She's coming, I'm sure.
She's on the corner peeking her around.
She is. She's a nosy bitch.
What a freaking hoe. Get that lady out of there. Yeah. So I don't know. Like my mom will tell me like shit that she's going through because she's in full blown menopause. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, that sounds like postpartum. Yeah.
Wait, so some of the symptoms that your mom is experiencing is she premenopausal or menopausal?
She's menopausal.
And it feels like, or it sounds like some of the things you experienced in postpartum.
Oh yeah. The mood swings, especially.
Okay, but that's not fair because I chose not to have children for a reason.
I know. So
Good Lord.
Well, but think about it though. I think mine will be worse because I had kids. Like maybe, I don't know. Hormones are weird. Hormones are bitches.
you're not wrong about that.
No.
It just makes me think about how much our body changes and then how quickly we actually, in a lot of ways, get used to it and don't think about it. For myself, it's been a process of like, oh, things are different and I don't acknowledge it, don't pay it a lot of attention or let it stress me. And then one day I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so old. I have all these things and, your hair is different. I know that happens after pregnancy too. Your hair is different, or you have a mole in places you never thought you would have a mole, or, you just experience aches and pains, or things become more difficult. And I'm thinking like, how am I going to live to 90? Because I'm 42 and I have moments where I'm like, this is going to get worse. Like my knees are actually going to be worse. How am I going to function?
Yeah. I think it's like in your mind a lot. Like,
yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, that's why when I don't think about it, I think I'm doing better than when I reflect on like birthdays. Like birthdays can go to hell.
F those bitches.
I am done with that. Like, because it reminds me of how old I am. And I really think that without that, I don't feel as old as my age reflects.
Yeah.
I don't, and in my mind, it's like, they talk about like body dysmorphia and this idea that you are a certain size in your mind. And no matter how big or small that is, it makes it really difficult for you to see changes in yourself or to see yourself any differently. And that's very common for women. Obviously, it can lead to things like eating disorders and things of that nature, but it's also still very common for women to just experience body dysmorphia, where they see themselves as they were 20 pounds ago, even though they very clearly have lost 20 pounds, right? And I think that I have like age dysmorphia. Like I look in the mirror and I recognize that I'm 42, but I don't really feel that. And actually today I went to the dentist and got my cleaning, and I was heading to the receptionist to pay my bill. And she says, I can't remember what happened, something ridiculous that would make me feel old. And I said something about it. And she said, oh, well, how old are you? And I said, 42. And she was like, oh gosh. Oh. And I was like, what is she meaning? And then she said, I can't believe I'm 50. And I thought, okay, are you saying that I look older than 42? Cause she's like, she said something like, I can't believe I'm older than you. And I was like,
whoa.
Excuse me. Have you not read Girl
Code?
I
was just about to say, what a freaking like, come on now.
You're supposed to listen, ladies, when we get past the age of 29, you always tell someone that they don't look their age.
You always say, a day over 29.
That is the thing you say. You do not tell someone, I didn't know. Really?
Oh,
I mean, I'm offended. So I sat there thinking, do I look 50?
No.
Do I?
No. I wouldn't even say you look 42.
I don't feel 42. I want to say that I feel 37.
Yeah, 37. I could see that. Because how old's Alex?
I don't know. 35.
Okay. Because I feel like you and Alex are the same age.
I know she always jokes about how I am 7 years older, but that she's actually the older one of us. That is, part of it is just like our personalities are different. And
I could see that.
But so she says that. I don't feel like people probably think that, given that the lady today thought she was younger than me and she's 50.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I feel like having kids or whatever kind of makes you feel older than you are in certain aspects. I have a friend, and when she's being a mom and she's being professional or responsible, she's I feel like she's 20 years older than me. I'm like, dang, don't make Aunt Kristen mad, But then she has admitted to me that when it comes to other grown-up things, that she doesn't feel old enough to be performing those things. We go to a dinner group once a month with our friends, and she's like, I just feel like such a grown-up here without my kids. It's this weird phenomenon where you feel old enough and capable as being a mom. But then when it comes to who you are as a person without those kids, you don't feel old enough. You feel like it's babies raising babies, right? But somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's imposter syndrome.
Very
Yeah, interesting. what are some of the things when you think about your body now, what are some of the changes that you've experienced that you're maybe most comfortable with, and maybe some things that have been the most uncomfortable for you in terms of how your body is different?
Yeah. I think probably, I don't know. Like I can think of things I'm comfortable with, but things that I am more comfortable with since my body has changed is that it has changed. I used to try to fight it. Like, oh, I have a friend who says that her boobs look like marbles and with tube socks, or like melted Jello in garbage bags. And like, yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. That's the best one.
Okay, I
melted
never heard
Jello.
that.
Yeah. But like, I've just embraced the fact that my body's going to look different. And I think that I don't know. I guess I'm comfortable with that. I just address it. After I had Foster, I was obsessed with trying to like, oh, well, I'm going to try and get back into this pair of pants, or I got to get back onto this shirt. And like, some shirts just aren't going to look good on me because when I pull my pants up, I'm going to have rolls because I had stretchy skin there, like I don't care anymore. So I get a different shirt or I get different pants. But I think the hardest thing for me is probably like lingerie. That's something that's hard for me because I used to have like, a pretty tight, flat stomach. That was always like my thing. And now I have the like hang from my belly. And so like certain underwear, I'm like, well, can't ever wear those again. They just don't look cute.
Yeah. I think often our partners are more comfortable with our body than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a little complex because, your partner might say, hey, like, I don't care about that. You had babies. I get it. None of that matters. But at the end of the day, like if you're not comfortable in your skin, it makes it really difficult to want to share that with other people.
Yeah.
I think that's challenging. And I think as you age, it only gets worse because like I said, the wrinkles and the hairs and the way your skin hangs, it all starts to change slowly but surely. And I think what happens is, at least for me, is that it's like losing weight and you see someone that you haven't seen in 6 months. And so you notice their weight loss. But if you see them every day, you don't notice that they lost 25 pounds, right? And that's how I feel with my body and aging. It's like day after day, I don't really notice it. And then sometimes time passes and I have a birthday or a Christmas or something that reminds me that it's been a year or 2 or 3. And I look at myself and think, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I looked like this. And in some ways, I feel like that's a defense mechanism that I've developed. And maybe other people my age can relate to this sort of defense mechanism that I have that, I look in the mirror and I don't see myself that way most of the time. And that's probably how I get through my day to day, is that I still in my mind look like a 28-year-old, even though I know the reality of that is not true or accurate.
Well, and we spend so much money and time on like age reversing crap.
Yes.
Like I hit 30 and all of a sudden I needed Retin-A, Botox. And I'm like, do I need that because I feel like I need that? Or do I need that because I'm worried that other people are going to see me and think I need that?
Yeah, I think if you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And like I got Botox one time and I'm really glad I did. And I wish I could do it every day. It's pricey.
Expensive.
And so, yeah, it was worth it in the sense that I wanted to see what it would look like. I wanted to see the difference that it would make. And so I received Botox as a Mother's Day gift from my loving wife.
Oh.
And it wasn't an insult. It was very kind because I had talked about it for a while. And they did, what are these jiggies here?
Feet.
Yeah, the crow's feet.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. But also the frown lines here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it really did make a difference. And it really did make me feel better. But again, I think it's like everything else. And I remember being a kid and thinking, we would move into a new house and there would be wallpaper we didn't like or, carpet that we didn't like. And my parents would say, oh, we're going to change that. That's really ugly. And then 3 years down the road, you kind of forget about it, right? You get used to it. You never liked it and you might still not like it, but it's tolerable. And you're so used to seeing it that doesn't bother you anymore. And I think that's where I've sort of been successful with myself in saying like, I'm accepting those wrinkles on that part of my face on a daily basis and trying not to really pay attention to it. And it's there. It's part of who I am. It's part of what I've got. And the longer it's there, the more I feel comfortable with it, like the living room wallpaper, except my crow's feet.
Yeah. And what's funny is I think maybe you might start to even like that wallpaper. Like maybe that wallpaper kind of starts to become your style a little bit. Grows on you. And then you're finding furniture that fits it because it's easier to just find furniture that fits that wallpaper instead of like placing the whole freaking wallpaper.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I've gotten to with my aging, like postpartum body is I've got this year, especially like I'm deciding to like come back, right? That's my word for the year. That's like my goal. But with that, I've performed tasks that I didn't expect. I've gotten rid of most of my wardrobe from pre-kids because sure, can I fit in it? Yeah. I don't like the way it looks anymore. I'm a different person. Like I've been reborn. And I feel like that's kind of how aging is. Like it doesn't have to just apply to postpartum, but just you hit a certain age where, you know, a friend once told me our 30s are to like embrace all the things that we wanted to wear and we wanted to do as like a 16-year-old, but didn't feel confident enough to do it.
And that's a good feeling.
Yeah. I'm going to get a second piercing and maybe a tattoo. And I might dye my hair purple underneath again. And I might, you know, wear a Nirvana t-shirt because who cares? I get to do that now.
You're 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize that teenagers were wearing Nirvana shirts, but
Oh my
they
gosh.
are. I know Aaron has one and I'm thinking, could you name a song?
You don't even know. Do you
Could you
even
name
know?
a song? Yeah. Well, it's been really good to chat about this. And I know we come from very different perspectives, but in some ways, I think even though we have a 10-year age gap, we're going through a lot of the same things. And I'm here to share with you. I wish I could tell you that it gets better. It doesn't. But I think what does get better is what you referenced earlier. And that is our ability to accept where we're at.
Yeah.
And recognize that it's okay. And we don't have to care as much about what other people think about what we look like. I care deeply about what other people think about who I am.
Yeah.
I'm learning to care less deeply about what other people think I look like and what other people think I should be doing with my body. And I think as a woman, that's incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
But the older I get, the less I give a crap about other people and the more I care about myself. And I think that has been a really important lesson and one that if my 20-year-old self could feel the kind of confidence and really carefreeness I feel in my 40s, I think I would have made very different decisions. It's a weight. It's a burden that I don't think that I knew I was carrying. Everything from the male gaze to what my parents think about what I wear to the way people think I dress at work and how that represents me and is my body good enough or not? And I don't really care anymore. Like I care in the sense that I care about myself, that I want to look respectable. I want to look professional in certain situations as it's warranted. I want to be comfortable. I want to accentuate parts of my body that I feel comfortable with and good about. I think the difference is who I'm doing it for. And the difference is that I'm doing that for me. Yeah. And I always thought I was doing it for me. I really did. But I realize now as I hit my 30s and 40s, I'm doing a lot more for myself. And that feels much more validating, but it feels more carefree. And I think what happens when you get to certain ages is that I don't have the capacity anymore to be that concerned with other people. Like I've got enough on my plate. I've got too much going on to be that worried about what you think about what my hair looks like. That feels good. And I think that will continue to grow for you. That sort of idea that, you know, I care about my body and I care about myself and I want to be respectable and feel good and healthy and whatever that is for me. There's so much more pride in that than working so hard to achieve that from other people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And one thing I think I'd add to that is I've watched my mom age very gracefully, I might add. And I've watched her several different body types and she's been in and out of sobriety, whatever. But I've never felt like she was not confident and like proud of who she was physically. Like she was always very confident. And so I think I am looking forward to like being 40 and confident. But right now also, I want to be that example to my kids. I want them to watch me be proud of myself, whether that's an aged, saggier, boobed woman. I want my son to see a capable, strong mom that can swing with him and run with him and throw dandelions in the drain. He doesn't care about all the other crap. Like he just thinks I'm cool. So like, I want to be cool.
He does think you're cool.
Well, he thinks you're cool. And
well,
you know,
wrong.
You're 10 years older than me. So
well, thank you. And I appreciate your vulnerability. One of the goals in being able to talk about these things is just hoping to normalize and validate some of the things that we go through when we hit our middle ages. It's just interesting because today I actually looked this up. So according to Google, middle age is actually 45 to 55.
Yes.
I'm not even there. I thought I was there. In my mind,
feel it.
It's this over the hill thing, right?
Yeah.
That when you turn 40, you're over the hill.
Yeah.
Like you're on the other side of
really
death.
not nice.
I know it's not. It really isn't. One of the things we do at the end of the show is that we play this little, I don't want to say game, because I know that you love a game.
I love a game.
I know you do. And I don't want to let you down because it's not that exciting. But
Okay.
I want to just compare a few things from then and now and see what you think about it. Would you take then late nights studying, or now late nights with kids who don't go to sleep?
Then
Late night studying wins, huh?
Oh, yeah.
No contest. You didn't even think about it.
No, because I can have popcorn and I'm with my friends in a quiet library room. That's not how it is now.
Now that's like your fantasy.
Yeah. I just want to be somewhere else. Yes.
Yeah, late night with kids.
Definitely
No go.
then. Yep.
Okay. Another one, records and record albums, or vinyl, if you will, which is making a comeback.
Yeah.
Or the experience of downloading music and having whatever you want, whenever you want.
Oh, I would probably say now downloading. I want to hear it on the radio and then like go search for it on Spotify and listen to it again.
You know what else you can search for on Spotify?
Hot flashbacks.
Right. Good answer. Okay. So one more thing.
Okay.
Old clunker vehicle that you had in college, or the car you, and actually this is presumptuous. Let's go backwards. Vehicle you had in college or vehicle you have now in the current condition it's in, because you have children. And sister, let me tell you, I have been in people's car when they have children.
That's scary.
And there'd be like animal crackers and fingerprints and snot and boogers. So I'm curious, if I know you, your college car was full of Taco Bell wrappers and your current car is full of snot and popcorn. So tell me where you're at.
So I drove a Bullet Mustang in high school. That says enough right there. I will go then all day. I was the coolest cat in that car. No boogers, no animal. Well, maybe animal crackers from friends, but not from my child. 100% then.
I didn't really have a car in high school, but in college, I had a car that I bought, and it was old and not that cool. But there's something about your first car.
Oh yeah.
You know, it just kind of has like a little place in
Special
your heart.
place.
I do love my car now. And because we have teenagers, it really is fairly clean. But one thing that's interesting about children, and this is just, I'm digressing, is that you just find boogers everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Poop.
Okay. That's too
Like,
much.
yeah, I don't even, and no, you don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
The boogers gross me out.
Boogers.
I remember one time I was cleaning my car, and in the trunk, I found all of these tiny kind of like hard curved items that looked like fingernails. And the thing is that there are some people in our family who love to peel their fingernails off and leave them places. And it is, to me, it's disgusting. And I believe firmly that there are places to trim your fingernails, right? And there are places to not. And so anyway, I went to my car and I found probably like 30 of them on the floor. And I thought, oh my gosh, someone has pulled their toenails and fingernails off in my car. And it's one of two people who sit in this backseat. And I came in the house and I let everybody know, and I wasn't going to pick them up. I hand them a vacuum and I'm like, they're on your side. You get out there. And so later I go to my trunk and I realize that somehow they were actually pine needles that had fallen off of our Christmas tree from like the month before, but they had like dried up and gotten hard. And I thought that they were someone's fingernails, and I about lost my stuff over it. Turns out they were just pine needles. Other than that, my car is very clean.
That's
and I would
awesome.
take the car I have now because it is air conditioning.
You have a very nice car.
I'm realizing now that this was not a question for me.
Yeah, but it's okay because it's
my
applicable.
Yeah.
You could do it.
Thank you. Thank you for being here
Yes.
and chatting with us. I really appreciate your time. I hope you had a good time
Fun.
today. If
Oh,
nothing else,
so fun.
you and I got to talk and hang out, which I always enjoy.
Absolutely. Yes.
So thank you, Jess.
Thanks, Molly.
This is Hot Flashbacks. We're out. Thanks for listening to Hot Flashbacks. If you enjoyed it, be sure to follow us on social media and like this episode. Want more content? Smash that follow button wherever you get your podcasts and never miss an episode. Thanks for sharing your ears, friends. I'll catch you on the flip side.